tall, tall.
Greater than the average height.
Tall, tall.
I want you to stand tall. She is very tall. She is quite tall for her age. That is a tall building. What a tall child.
Technical, technical.
Relating to science or machines and how they work.
Technical, technical.
That sounds too technical for me. The job position requires technical skills. You are getting extremely technical about the issue. Do you have any technical skills?
Terrible, terrible.
Very bad.
Terrible, terrible.
He looks terrible. The movie is terrible. I have a terrible cold. I feel truly terrible about what happened. The accident was absolutely terrible.
Tiny, tiny.
Very small.
Tiny, tiny.
He made a tiny hole in the paper. She feels tiny in the crowd. The crack is very tiny. Her waist is extremely tiny. I just want a tiny amount.
Traditional, traditional.
Being part of a custom or belief that is handed down through time.
Traditional, traditional.
She comes from a very traditional family. He has become very traditional since getting married. She is very traditional. She wants a traditional wedding. He is bringing some traditional dishes to the potluck.
Typical, typical.
Usual or normal.
Typical, typical.
It's very typical of John to not show up. That's just typical of her to be late. Her behavior is very typical of a 4-year-old child. That is very typical of her. That's a typical case.
Ugly, ugly.
Not pretty, bad looking, unpleasant.
Ugly, ugly.
The wallpaper is very ugly. The monster is terribly ugly. She feels ugly. The discussion is getting ugly. They're going through an ugly divorce.
Unable, unable.
Not being able.
Unable, unable.
They are just unable to get the job done. She is totally unable to understand what I am saying. He is still unable to walk after the accident. She is physically unable to do anything after her surgery. He is mentally unable to cope after his wife's death.
Unfair, unfair.
Not treating people equally.
Unfair, unfair.
His decision was very unfair to the whole class. She is being a little unfair to her sister. It is unfair to let one child stay out later than the other. She is so unfair to her sister. He has an unfair advantage.
Unhappy, unhappy.
Sad, not glad.
Unhappy, unhappy.
She was very unhappy with their decision. He was a little unhappy with the results. He was equally unhappy with the second choice. She is unhappy. He is becoming unhappy with his boss.
If you enjoy my videos, be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to make sure that you get notified when I upload new videos.